tell me about when you lost your hearing and when you got cochlear implants.
Okay. It was a gradual process over 10 years. I was about 25 when I started losing it. And I had 4 children, and with each child, it became a little worse. And when I had my last in 1988, I lost it completely. And both ears, completely deaf, nothing. So I had been wearing hearing aids before that, and the audiologist said, I can't do anything for you. So I had heard about the cochlear implants. They had just come out with a 22 channel at the time. And there was a doctor up in Sacramento that was doing them. And so we took a trip up here and talked to him, and he did some tests, one of which was to check to see that your hearing nerve is alive. They stick a needle down, puncture the hearing nerve, or what do we call it?
Eardrum.
The eardrum, puncture the eardrum to the hearing and touch the hearing nerve with the needle, and then put a tuning fork at the end. And if you can hear that, then your nerve is alive. So that's what we did on both sides, and it was painful. But so we decided to go ahead, and then of course there was a whole insurance thing because I'd never heard of it, and all of this, trying to make it sound like a hearing aid rather than a prosthesis.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it was a long process, but I got the implant. And so I was 35 when I got the implant. And then it was a process of working with the audiologist up here. So traveling up here about once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, to get remapped. When they first turned it on, it was, I heard sounds, but every voice sounded like Donald Duck. Whether they were male or female, they all sounded like Donald Duck. And I could understand what they were saying, but it was like this weird, mechanical sound voice. And but your brain just can put it all together, remember what somebody sounded like before, because it hadn't been that long. I was probably completely deaf for about 6 months when I had the implant. So I remembered what people are supposed to sound like, and pretty soon over time, men started sounding like men and women like women, and then I could distinguish who it was. It's just really amazing what your brain can do.
Tell me I know we've gone through this before, but tell me about the processor.
So the very first one I had was a great big box. It was about 6 inches by 4 inches. And I had to wear it on a big heavy belt. And then there was a wire that came up that I threaded through my clothes up to the transmitter.
Yeah.
And then gradually, I'm talking, every several years, there would be a new processor. And so I would get a new one, and they would get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then finally that got behind the ear with no box. It was amazing. No wires. I was wireless. It was really exciting. I could actually wear a dress.
Nice.
So I got a second implant in 2013, and my ear that I had not heard anything in for 30 years. And it was not very successful. In fact, I don't really wear it. I can, I keep thinking, if this one fails, because it's so old, it's really scary. If it failed, I don't think I would be able to talk on the phone anymore with this one. I can kind of hear, but it's not good. If I wear it, it's mostly to get a sense of balance.
Okay. We had talked a little bit before about which electrodes you had turned off. Can you tell us? Yeah.
Every time I would go in to get remapped, we would go through all 20 electrodes, and when it was tolerable, when I could just barely hear it, every electrode each time. And there were maybe 3 out of the 20 that I just couldn't tolerate. I told him it made my eyes jiggle. It was awful. So he just completely turned those off. And so whether that it didn't, I don't think it affected too much what I could hear.
So you said you have about 17 or 18 out of your 22 that are on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. We talked a little bit about challenging situations, like noisy situations and sounds that are difficult. Can you talk about that?
Well, just like anyone with hearing loss, group situations are a nightmare. Just because there's people talking at once, talking over each other, and I do still read lips. I say I read lips, although I can hear on the phone most people when there's no lip reading going on, obviously. But it's when you get a bunch of people talking, I can't look at everybody at once, when they're talking, and so it's hard to follow a conversation with more than one or two people. And maybe not so much that it's background noise, although I'm sure that plays into it also, but it's just stressful.
I see.
Yeah.
And you talked about how there are some sounds that are new that you don't know yet.
Yeah. So you were asking about music for one thing. And so the music that I knew when I could hear, I would recognize, but it would take my brain a little while. I would hear the words and I thought, oh, wait, I know this music. I'm trying to put it all together. And then all of a sudden it just clicked and I knew that song and I could sing it, top of my lungs. And so again, it's just your brain remembering what you heard. And that's why I've always thought it would be so hard to be born deaf, not have heard these sounds and have a cochlear implant. I don't know how they do it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to talk to people like you because you have that comparison. And so you can say it sounds different in certain ways.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Yeah. And then I asked about music and if you hear a new song, do you hear the melody or the words or the instrumental, like what's good and what's bad?
I can catch a word or two. If it's a song that I want to learn, then I listen to it over and over and over with the words, with the lyrics printed out. And I can learn it, but I don't know that it sounds the same as you hear it.
Yeah.
It sounds different. I don't think I'm hearing it like I hear my old songs that I knew. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's probably not as rich when you hear it now. You don't have as much variation.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. Whereas I think my brain is filling in that because of the songs that I knew before, because I know it's there. So I'm not hearing it now in the new songs now.
Yeah. Are there any voices that you hear better than others? So like male voices or female voices?
I think probably female voices, but I think women tend to enunciate better.
Yeah.
Men slur their words. And there's also things, mustaches and things involved and beards, and that just makes lip reading really difficult also.
I see. Okay, well, we can stop here for now. Thank you again.
Okay.
Sorry to make you repeat it twice. And if there's anything else that you think of or you want to add, we can always do that as well.
Okay, very good.
Thanks, you. Leah.